Alright guys, continuing on here with more problems on this front side. Alright. Alright, consecutive integer problems. It says 4 consecutive even integers have a sum of 236. What are the 4 integers? Okay, remember as we set these problems up, we don't know what the numbers are, but because they're even integers, we know that they are 2 apart from each other. And so we have to, instead of saying x plus y plus w plus z, I know that's out of order, guys, sorry, equals, excuse me, 236. We'll never be able to solve that problem because there are just too many variables. So what we'll do is we'll say x, an unknown, the next number has to be 2 more than that. The next number has to be 2 more than that. The next number has to be 2 more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. And they'll equal 236. Okay, so now as we simplify and solve, we get 4x plus 12 equals 236. And we can solve the problems. Subtract 12 from both sides. 4x equals 224. Divide by 4. X equals 56. Okay, now even though x is 56, please don't rush your answer. It says what are the 4 integers? We need to make sure we give all 4. So 56, 58, 60, 62. And you can add these up just to make sure that they add up to 236. And you should always check to make sure that you're answering the question they want to. So even if I had got an odd answer, I would make sure that I go back and say, okay, I think I did something wrong because the question says even. Okay. Alright, number 7 says there are 3 consecutive odd integers. 4 times the smallest integer is 65 more than 3 times the large integer. What are the 3 integers? Okay. So, here we go, odd integers. Quick thing here is that odd integers are still only 2 apart. A lot of people will fall into the mistake of saying x plus 1, x plus 3, x plus 5, but they're still only 2 apart, so those are going to be set up the same way. So we have 3 consecutive odd integers that we would usually write as x, x plus 2, and x plus 4. Okay? Now, this question isn't like the first word, it just tells us to add them up and equal a sum. This says 4 times the smaller integer, so our smallest integer has to be x. So 4 times x is 65 more than 3 times the larger integer. So equals is 65 more than 3 times the largest integer. So 3 times the largest integer, which would be x plus 4, plus 65. Okay, I understand that this will be the largest integer because it has plus 4 on it. Okay, and so now here's our equation. As we set this, we have it set up now, just based off of the description, and so we can solve for x, basically solving for the smallest integer and then using that to find the other 2. So we have 3x plus 12 plus 65 equals 4x. Alright, so 77 here. Subtract 3x from both sides. So x equals 77. So our largest integer is 77, our smallest integer is 77. 77 plus 2, 79. Plus 2, 81. And those are our 3 consecutive odd integers. Again, odd. Got to make sure that our numbers fall in that pattern. Okay, that's going back and checking to make sure your answer makes sense. Okay. Number 8, Sam started a business making curtains for window coverings. She buys a sewing machine for $667 and figures she will need an average of $16 per window for thread and fabric. If she charges $45 per window, how many windows will she need to complete in order to break even? So remember that break even means make as much money as you spend. Okay, and so break even for her, or for most break even problems, we will set up our equation, or should set up our equation as money spent and money earned. Okay, and this seems to be a pretty straightforward type of problem. How much money does she spend? Well, Sam spends $667 for a sewing machine, and she needs $16 of material per window. I'm going to say 16W. Okay, So that's how much money she spent. $667 initially for the equipment, $16 for the fabric for each window. Then she says in order to make money, she's going to charge $45 per window. Okay, here's our equation. There's no other way she makes money, so this is money spent, money earned. And so now, in order to solve, we'll subtract 16 from both sides. So 667 plus 16W equals 45W. Subtract 16 from both sides, 16W from both sides, sorry. And we'll get 667 equals 29W. Divide by 29. 667 divided by 29, 23. So how many windows will she need to complete in order to break even? 23. And in that case, the variable is the solution. Basically solving the variable solves the problem. Number 9, Doug bought several single game tickets to the Tin Caps. Cost $12.25 per game. Okay. However, Dan paid $75 to be part of the Tin Cap fan club and bought reduced tickets for $6 per game. If Doug and Dan paid the same amount and went to the same number of games, how many games did they each attend? Okay, so here we go. So here's Doug. He bought $12.25. Dan. So Doug spent $12.25 per ticket to the Tin Cap. So capital T seems like it works. But Dan was part of the fan club, so he paid $75 for some extra stuff. And then he also got some reduced tickets for $6 per game. I don't really need to make that a decimal, even though it's $6. So if Doug and Dan paid the same amount and went to the same number of games, how many games did they each go to? So that means that T stands for the Tin Cap games, and there it's the same, so we can use that same variable. So what we'll do now is we'll try to get the T's to the same side. I subtract 6T from both sides, 6T. And that gives me 625T on this side equals 75. So 75 divided by 6.25, and that gives me 12 games. So they went to 12 Tin Cap games. Okay, if I had a decimal on this problem or a fraction, then I'd say I think I might have set this up wrong because it wouldn't make sense to my answer. So always make sure your answer makes sense. Alright, last one on this side. Tony can read 6 pages in his biology book in 15 minutes. How long will it take him to read 14 pages?